To create a new transaction in Transaction Desk from FlexMLS, the easiest way is to go in from this menu if you have a listing pulled up. You can also create one from scratch if you go in from this menu. It's a couple extra steps, but it's still not very difficult. Going in this way, it will automatically put you into creating a transaction. It will give you the name of the transaction. You will need to select the type. I'm going to call this one a residential sale. It's got the MLS information and your role in the transaction. That should be filled in already, but you can select whatever is the appropriate selection. If it's your own listing that you're selling, you obviously would click both right here. Once you've created the transaction, it will throw you into the wizard, the transaction wizard, which is convenient to go through. I don't put a lot of information in here. You can fill in as much as you like in here, and that will go to the appropriate places in the contract. But I like to fill in most of the information on the contract. It just gives me a better flow, but that's personal preference. So on the details, I don't put much in here. Transaction dates, I enter that on the contract. Actually, the one item I do like to put in the transaction dates is the offer date, and that's because on later forms where you have to enter the dates, such as a repair request and things like that, it will pull this into those new forms, and you won't have to look that up. I leave the other ones blank, and then I like to fill in the other ones on the contract. Now the contacts I generally do put in here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a contact, create a new transaction contact. This will be a buyer. And then I also like to go ahead and add this to the address book, because this will store the contact in Transaction Desk overall. So even if you have the same person in a new transaction or need to do something with them, they'll already be in the system. You won't need to enter them again. You can just pull them up. And then after that, the next step is forms. This is a convenient place to go ahead and add forms. The forms you will need for a sale will be under Greater Louisville Association of Realtors. You will need if you haven't given it yet, you will need the consumer guide to agency relationships dual, no designated agency. You will need the agency disclosure for the buyer, and you will need the residential sales contract. And then you can add all of those at one time. The documents should be pulled in from the listing. The seller's disclosure, the lead-based paint form should pull in if that's applicable. And once you have that, you click done, and then you're ready to work on the transaction.